Imagine this for a moment. What if I told you the biggest thief in your life isn't out there in the world? It's not the economy. It's not your boss. It's not your competition. It's you. More specifically, it's the habit of delaying. That small voice in your head that whispers, "I'll do it tomorrow. I'll start next week. I'll wait until the timing is right." That voice sounds harmless, but it's the most dangerous enemy you'll ever face because it robs you of the one thing you can never get back: time. And the truth is, the cemetery is full of people who thought they had more time. Every dream you've ever had, every vision of a better future, every goal you've whispered to yourself late at night, it all dies slowly when you procrastinate. You think you're buying comfort when you delay, but what you're actually buying is regret. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself, "I'll start the gym on Monday," and Monday came and went? How many times have you said, "I'll start that business after I finish this project," but the project kept multiplying? How many times have you promised yourself you'd make that call, send that email, apply for that opportunity, only to push it to tomorrow, and then the next tomorrow, until the spark that once excited you becomes a burden that weighs on you? The habit of procrastination doesn't just steal opportunities. It rewires your brain to normalize hesitation. And once hesitation becomes a pattern, momentum is destroyed. You don't fail in one big, dramatic collapse. You fail by 1,000 tiny delays. You fail in the little moments where you choose comfort over commitment. And the scariest part, procrastination disguises itself as rationality. You say, "I'll wait until I'm ready." You say, "I'll do it when I have more experience." You say, "I'll act when the cupressions are perfect." But let me tell you something, the conditions will never be perfect. You'll never feel 100% ready. And the moment you realize that, you have a choice. You can either let life pass you by while you wait, or you can act now and grow as you go. Let's get real. Every single person you admire, every success story you've ever read, every leader who inspires you, they didn't wait until they were ready. They acted, they stumbled, they learned, and they adjusted. They knew that action beats perfection every single time. Because success is built by momentum, and momentum only comes when you stop waiting and start moving. The habit of procrastination is the ultimate killer of momentum. It convinces you that the time you have tomorrow is more valuable than the time you have right now. But the only time you're guaranteed is this moment. I want you to think of procrastination like a muscle. You strengthen it every time you delay. The more you give into it, the more automatic it becomes. But here's the good news: discipline is also a muscle. Every time you decide to act instead of wait, every time you lean into discomfort instead of postponing it, you build a different pattern. And over time, those small decisions compound into power, into confidence, into freedom. Ask yourself honestly, how many dreams have you buried because of procrastination? How many opportunities slipped away while you told yourself you'd do it later? And here's the real question: what are you willing to lose if you keep feeding this habit, because make no mistake, procrastination always takes payment. It takes your health. It takes your wealth. It takes your peace of mind. And eventually, it takes your potential. There is no tomorrow. There is only now. When you understand that urgency isn't pressure, it's power, everything changes. You begin to see that every step you take today, no matter how small, is infinitely more valuable than the mountain of intentions you pile up for tomorrow. You'll never conquer procrastination with willpower alone. You conquer it by action. One decision at a time, one uncomfortable step at a time, one moment of courage at a time. The truth is, you already know what you need to do. Deep down, you've always known. That phone call you've been avoiding, make it today. That project you've been putting off, start it today. That dream you keep telling yourself you'll chase someday, chase it today. Not perfectly, not flawlessly, but immediately, because imperfect action is worth 1,000 times more than perfect intentions. Stop lying to yourself that you'll change tomorrow. Tomorrow isn't promised, but this moment is. The power to move forward, the power to shift your life, the power to break free from the chains of delay. It's here, it's now, and it's yours. Procrastination is the silent killer of dreams, but urgency is the spark that ignites destiny. Choose now. Let me grab your attention right now with a question that cuts deeper than you realize. If I were to record every single thought that ran through your mind in the last 24 hours and play it on loudspeakers for the world to hear, would you be proud of what you've been saying to yourself? Or would you be embarrassed by how cruel, doubtful, and negative your inner voice really is? Most people would shrink at the thought, because the truth is, the loudest critic in their life is not their boss, not their family, not even the world. It's themselves. Negative self-talk is poison. It's a habit that doesn't just slow you down, it strangles your potential before you even give it a chance to breathe. Think about it. You can have all the talent, all the opportunities, all the tools right in front of you. If you keep telling yourself you're not enough, you'll sabotage everything before you start. That inner voice has the power to build your future or burn it to the ground. And too many people allow it to burn. Here's the dangerous cycle. You want to achieve something. You feel excited, then the voice creeps in. You're not smart enough. You failed before, you'll fail again. Who do you think you are to even try? And what happens? You hesitate. You delay. You talk yourself out of taking the step you already knew you should take. That hesitation becomes inaction. That inaction becomes regret. And regret feeds the next round of negative self-talk. Before you know it, your life is shaped not by your potential, but by your own lies. The words you repeat to yourself are not just words. They are commands to your brain. They create your state, and your state dictates your actions. When you tell yourself, "I can't," you program your brain to shut down solutions. When you tell yourself, "I always mess things up," you unconsciously look for proof to back it up. The human mind loves to be right, so it will find evidence to validate whatever story you tell it, whether that story empowers you or destroys you. Now, here's the good news. If your self-talk can destroy you, it can also empower you. The same voice that tells you you're not enough can be trained to say, I am capable, I am resourceful, I will figure this out. You don't need to lie to yourself or inflate your ego. You simply need to shift the pattern. Because once you start changing the way you speak to yourself, your actions begin to align differently. You start walking into situations with certainty instead of hesitation. You start attacking problems with creativity instead of fear. You start believing in possibilities instead of limitations. I want you to think about the last time you encouraged someone you cared about. Maybe a friend was struggling. Maybe a child felt discouraged. Maybe a colleague was ready to give up. And you looked at them and said, "You've got this. You can do it. I believe in you." Why is it so easy to give that love and belief to others, yet so difficult to give it to yourself? The voice you use for other people needs to become the voice you use inside your own head. Here's the raw truth. You cannot bully yourself into success. You cannot shame yourself into greatness. Self-doubt is not a motivator, it's a destroyer. What fuels lasting success is belief. Not arrogance, not fake positivity, but a deep conviction that no matter how many mistakes you make, you will learn, you will adapt, and you will grow. That's the kind of self-talk that keeps you moving when things get tough. And trust me, things will always get tough. Every time you catch yourself saying something negative, stop and challenge it. Replace "I can't" with "How can I?" Replace "I'm not ready" with "I'll grow as I go." Replace "I always fail" with "Every failure is a lesson that makes me stronger." These shifts might sound small, but they rewire your entire nervous system. They create a different emotional state, and that state creates different outcomes. Imagine what your life would look like if your inner voice were your greatest cheerleader instead of your harshest critic. Imagine walking into every challenge with a sense of certainty. Not because you know the outcome, but because you trust yourself to handle whatever comes. Imagine waking up every day knowing that no matter how the world doubts you, you refuse to doubt yourself. That is power. That is freedom. So let me ask you, what has your inner voice been saying to you? Has it been lifting you or limiting you? Has it been your weapon or your weakness? And here's the bigger question. How much longer are you willing to let that voice hold your life hostage? The words you speak to yourself are the foundation of your destiny. Build them with power, build them with belief, build them with certainty. Because when you master your inner voice, you master your future. Let me hit you with something that might sting for a moment. Success is not about how hard you work for a day or how motivated you feel for a week. Success is built on what you do consistently every single day, whether you feel like it or not. And if you've been wondering why your goals feel so far away, why you keep starting strong but never finishing, why you're stuck in the same place year after year, the reason is simply you've let inconsistency rob you of your momentum. Think about it. How many times have you promised yourself you'd stick to a new routine? You start with fire, full of energy, waking up early, going to the gym, putting in the work. And for a few days, maybe even a few weeks, you feel unstoppable. But then life happens. You miss one day, and that one day turns into two. Two turns into a week. Before you know it, the fire you had is gone. And you're left with frustration. And the story you've told yourself 1,000 times before. I'll start again later. That's the trap. That's how inconsistency kills your progress. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Without it, you can have all the motivation in the world, but it won't last. Motivation is a spark. It gets you started. But discipline is the fuel that keeps the fire burning when the spark has long faded. If you're only acting when you feel motivated, you'll never make it. The ones who win are the ones who act regardless of how they feel. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean you never slip up. It means you keep showing up. It means you decide, no matter what, I'm doing something today that moves me closer to my goal. Maybe it's a small step. Maybe it's not your best work, but it's forward movement. That daily commitment compounds over time. It builds habits, and those habits build your identity. Soon, you stop being someone who tries to succeed and become someone who simply lives it every single day. Here's the danger of inconsistency. It tricks you into thinking your small lapses don't matter. You skip one workout, you skip one call, you skip 1 hour of focused work, and you say, it's just today. But success doesn't vanish in one big crash. It erodes slowly. Every time you break your own word, every time you don't follow through, you weaken your trust in yourself. And when you can't trust yourself, you lose the power to move forward. On the other hand, when you practice discipline, even in the smallest things, you start to build trust with yourself. You start to know deep down that if you commit, you'll deliver. That confidence becomes unshakable. You carry it into every area of your life. Your career, your relationships, your health. People feel it. They see it. And more importantly, you feel it. So why do so many people struggle with consistency? Because they rely on willpower instead of systems. Willpower is limited. If you try to rely on it, you'll fail. But if you build systems, routines, habits, rituals, you remove the need to decide every day. You don't have to think about brushing your teeth. You just do it. That's the level of consistency you need with your success habits. When it becomes automatic, you stop negotiating with yourself and start executing. Ask yourself, what are the daily disciplines you've been neglecting? What are the promises you keep breaking to yourself? Is it that you said you'd do 30 minutes a day, but haven't? That you said you'd wake up earlier, but keep hitting snooze? That you said you'd work on your dream project, but let distractions take over? These aren't small things. They are the very foundation of your future. The results you want are hiding in the disciplines you avoid. Everyone wants the big rewards, but very few are willing to do the boring, repetitive, unglamorous work that leads to them. That's the truth. The champions, the leaders, the people you admire, They've mastered the art of showing up every single day, not just when they feel good. Let me be blunt. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your standards. And your standards are revealed by your consistency. If you want to change your life, you don't need a new goal, you need a new standard. You need to say, this is who I am now. I am someone who follows through. I am someone who does the work, whether I feel like it or not. It's not about intensity. It's about consistency. It's not about how fast you go. It's about whether you keep going. And the day you commit to being consistent is the day your life begins to change. Discipline and consistency aren't punishments. They are the greatest forms of freedom. When you master them, you control your future. And when you control your future, nothing can stop you. Let me start with a reality check that might shake you for a moment. Your life will rise or fall to the level of the people you surround yourself with. You can have the best intentions, the clearest goals, and the strongest desire for success. But if your environment is toxic, if your circle is negative, if the people closest to you are draining instead of fueling you, your chances of winning shrink dramatically. You can't plant a seed in poisoned soil and expect it to grow. Think about the people you spend the most time with. Are they encouraging you, pushing you, challenging you, holding you to a higher standard? Or are they subtly pulling you back, laughing at your dreams, dismissing your goals, filling your mind with doubt and excuses? You become the average of the voices you allow into your life. If you let small-minded, fearful, or lazy people dominate your space, you'll eventually start mirroring their patterns, whether you realize it or not. Energy is contagious. Negativity spreads faster than any virus, and it doesn't just make you feel down. It reshapes your mindset. When you're around people who constantly complain, criticize, or gossip, you unconsciously absorb it. Before long, their limitations become your limitations. Their excuses become your excuses. And their fears become your fears. That's the silent danger of toxic environments. They don't just influence your mood, they quietly destroy your vision. Now let's flip it. When you surround yourself with people who are hungry, driven, disciplined, and positive, something shifts inside you. Their energy lifts you. Their example challenges you. Their standards force you to raise your own. Suddenly, what once felt impossible becomes normal, because the people around you are living proof that it can be done. That's the power of the right associations. Here's what most people get wrong. They think loyalty means staying in relationships that drain them. They think love means keeping toxic people close. But you need to understand this: protecting your energy is not selfish. It's necessary. You can love someone and still limit their access to you for what you practice in private. You can care for people but choose not to let their negativity infiltrate your vision. That boundary doesn't make you cruel. It makes you strong. It makes you strong enough to protect the life you're building. So, I want you to ask yourself honestly, who in your life is pushing you closer to your dreams, and who is pulling you further away? Who makes you feel alive, and who leaves you feeling empty? Who challenges your excuses, and who feeds them? Your answers will reveal a lot about why you're either moving forward or staying stuck. The truth is, most people don't fail because they're not capable. They fail because they stay stuck in environments that don't support growth. Imagine trying to run full speed with someone holding onto your ankles. That's what it feels like when you're trying to level up while surrounded by people who refuse to grow. You can fight as hard as you want, but until you release the dead weight, you'll never fly. I know it's not easy. Some of those people might be family. Some might be lifelong friends. Some might be coworkers you can't avoid. I'm not saying you cut everyone off and walk away from your entire world. What I am saying is this: you must decide how much influence you allow them to have over your mindset. You can't always control who's in your life, but you can control who gets your energy, who gets your focus, and who gets your trust. And if you don't currently have the right circle, go out and build it. Seek mentors. Read books written by people who've already achieved what you want. Listen to voices that challenge you, not ones that comfort your excuses. Even if you don't have direct access to successful people yet, you can still put yourself in environments, physical or digital, that fuel your growth. Because exposure matters. If all you're exposed to is mediocrity, you'll normalize it. If you expose yourself to greatness, you'll start expecting it from yourself. Your environment will either multiply your success or murder it. There's no neutral ground. And deep down, you already know who belongs in your corner and who doesn't. You already feel the difference between people who fuel your fire and those who smother it. The question is, do you have the courage to make the necessary choices? Do you have the courage to step away from comfort and step into alignment? You owe it to yourself to create a circle that reflects the future you want, not the past you've outgrown. Because at the end of the day, your environment is either your cage or your catalyst. Choose wisely. Let me ask you something that might sting a little. How many opportunities have you let slip by because you were too comfortable? How many times have you felt that spark inside, the pull towards something greater? But instead of acting, you stayed in the safe zone, convincing yourself it wasn't the right time, that you weren't ready, that you'd try later. The comfort zone might feel like security, but it's not safety at all. It's slow death. It's the place where dreams are buried, where potential is wasted, and where your future gets strangled by your fear of risk. Fear of taking risks is one of the most destructive habits a person can have because it looks rational on the surface. You tell yourself you're being careful, being practical, being responsible. What you're really doing is hiding. You're trading growth for familiarity. You're trading possibility for certainty. And here's the truth. Certainty never creates breakthroughs. Every great achievement you admire was born out of risk. Every leader, every innovator, every success story took a step into the unknown, not because they had guarantees, but because they had courage. Think back to the moments in your life where you grew the most. It wasn't when everything was comfortable. It wasn't when life was predictable. It was when you were stretched. It was when you were uncertain. It was when you had to rise to the challenge or collapse under it. That's the paradox. What we fear most is often the very thing that makes us stronger. Fear of risk paralyzes people into waiting for the perfect time. But there is no perfect time. There will always be a reason not to act. There will always be a voice telling you it's too dangerous, too risky, too soon. If you wait until you're ready, you'll never move. You don't get ready and then act. You act, and that process makes you ready. Comfort zones are seductive. They tell you that staying the same is safer than changing. But the reality is, while you're standing still, the world is moving forward. Opportunities are passing. Time is ticking. And before long, you're left with a haunting realization. You didn't avoid risk. You just chose a different kind of risk. The risk of regret. The risk of wondering, what if? The risk of looking back one day and realizing you wasted your potential because you were too afraid to step out of your bubble. Now let me be clear. I'm not saying you should take reckless risks. I'm not telling you to throw your life into chaos for the sake of it. What I'm saying is that growth demands discomfort. Success requires stepping into the unknown, putting yourself on the line, and trusting that you'll figure it out as you go. That's not recklessness. That's faith. That's resilience. That's what separates the ones who talk about their dreams from the ones who actually live them. Every time you avoid risk, you reinforce the belief that you're not capable. You teach yourself to shrink, to hesitate, to settle. But every time you take a risk, no matter how small, you build a different belief. You start proving to yourself that you are resourceful, that you are capable, that you can handle more than you thought. And over time, those small acts of courage stack up into unshakable confidence. So let me ask you, what are you protecting by staying comfortable? Is it really safety, or is it just the illusion of safety? Because if your comfort zone isn't growing you, it's killing you. The world doesn't reward those who play it safe. It rewards those who are bold enough to take chances, to fail forward, to step into the unknown with conviction. Fear is always going to be there. It doesn't disappear. But courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward in spite of it. The people you admire aren't fearless. They've just learned to act even while afraid. They've built the muscle of courage by consistently choosing growth over comfort, risk over stagnation, possibility over certainty. And right now, you have a choice. You can stay where you are, protected, comfortable, safe, and watch your dreams fade. Or you can take the leap, knowing it won't be perfect, knowing you might stumble, but also knowing that on the other side of that risk is the life you've been craving. Comfort zones don't keep you safe. They keep you small. And if you're tired of living small, it's time to step into the unknown. Because your destiny doesn't live where it's comfortable. It lives where it's uncertain, where it's risky, where it's real.